So we know, uh-oh, Walt knows enough about chemicals to be able to get rid of the body. Gun's gone. Told you. Shit. Okay, you guys, I got some big breaking news for you. This is this is a mind blower. So you might prepare yourself. You know, are you sitting down? Are you really ready for this type of life-changing news? Well, here it is. The Apple Corporation is vile. They're bad. Really, really bad. Wait, you already knew that? Huh. Well, at least now we're all on the same page. Okay, you guys, yeah, now most of us know that Apple is just an absolutely horrific company when it comes to just raping you for every last penny they can get. But what they're doing now what they're doing to Patreon and doing to anyone who wants to become a member of someone's Patreon is just absolutely beyond the pale. Now, of course, this is something near and dear to me because Patreon is my Patreon crew is what supports everything I do, allows me to do this every day, and I absolutely love what I do. But make no mistake, this goes way further than just Patreon. If there's one thing I can tell you guys in prefacing all this as a general golden rule, never use the iOS to buy anything, to purchase anything if you can avoid it. In other words, anytime that if you're going to join a membership, pay for anything, don't do it through an app on the Apple system, the iOS system, on your iPhone, on your iPad, whatever it is. Whenever you have the option to do so, make that purchase through a PC or through a browser on your phone, because Apple is just going to ding you for ridiculous extra charges. From starting in November, they're going to start rolling it out in November. If you want to join someone's Patreon, anyone's Patreon, Apple wants an extra 30%, 30%, just for facilitating that purchase. So if you're going to join the Goosh, my Patreon, or you're going to join anyone's Patreon, the simple way around this is either do it on a PC or, even simpler yet, open up a browser on your phone, go to Patreon's homepage on that browser, and just sign up through there. And then they can't get you with their 30% fee. That's just insane. Can you imagine that? You got 30% for doing not a goddamn thing. Nothing. For facilitating a purchase of a membership. That's it. 30%. I mean, guys, this is truly one of the most egregiously scummy things I've ever seen a big company do. And that's quite an impressive hill to be the king of. Make no mistake about it. This is Apple telling us in no uncertain terms, and by us, I mean all of us who buy their products, including me, that they hate us. They just have absolutely no use, no concern for us whatsoever. All we are to them, 100% all we are to them, is just cash cows to be milked over and over. Well, let me tell you something. Our udders are starting to get very raw and sore. That analogy was accurate, but it's just kind of gross too. Yeah, my udders hurt now. Now, also, I always want to be very upfront with you guys. As far as the Patreon thing, we do have an option to where, like, if you join, let's just obviously use my Patreon as an example because that's the Patreon I know. If you were to join my Patreon, say at the $5 level, or at any level, I can have the 30% taken out of my portion. You know, for instance, if you come in, you join the $5 level, what's 30% of $5? $1.50? Am I right? That $1.50 out of my take. Now, the reason I don't do it that way and I have the 30% added is not just to protect my own income. It's because I have a strong suspicion that if you come in, if I were to set it up that way, and you come in as a new subscriber, there will probably somewhere along that process, it might mention that 30% of that goes to Apple. And mind you, Patreon only takes 8%. Apple wants 30%. Just because you had the audacity to use an app on their system. But anyway, I think most people would go through the process and not even realize that Apple just grabbed 30% of the membership that they were hoping went to me, because a lot of memberships on Patreon, mine and pretty much every one of them, a lot of people subscribe just to support a creator. I know I have subscribers that might not be interested in the videos I'm posting right now, but they stay there because they just want to support. And again, I wouldn't be able to do this every day. I wouldn't be able to do something I love and we all have a good time doing together if it weren't for people like that. So I appreciate it to no end. But here's the thing. If I make sure that that 30% is added, then they have to be right up front. And you know, the person who's joining has to know that instead of paying $5 for the $5 membership, they're going to be asked to pay $6.50. When that happens, I'm hoping plenty of people will say, oh, why the hell would I do that? And the next step would generally be to reach out to me. And I know a lot of people will do this and say, hey, Curtis, because you can join on a free membership on Patreon. You can get a hold of me there in private messaging anytime, but you can get a hold of me a lot of different ways. People will come to me and say, Curtis, I was going to join the Goosh, but I just can't do that. I can't give an extra 30% to Apple just to do that. Well, at that point, I can respond to somebody. They haven't seen this video. They haven't seen the many videos made about this whole situation, and explain to them, look, you don't have to pay the 30%. Just open a browser on your phone or just use your PC and you can get around it. So that's why I'm leaving it the way it is. I mean, I try and always be very upfront with you guys. I don't want to leave that aside and not mention that that was an option to me, but this is why I continue to do it the way I am. And see, I'm guilty too of buying Apple products. I've always been a fan of the iPhone since they came out. I don't have an iPad myself, as some members of the family do. Spaz Kid has one. My wife had one. It was an old one. I don't even know if she still has it anymore. But iPhones are very much a part of, I have one, my wife has one, Spaz Kid has one, my grandkids have them. I'm in contracts on those phones. I will say this, I'm going to be certainly reevaluating things. It's too bad because I actually like using my iPhone itself, but I'm growing to hate the company that produces them so much, it might force me to look elsewhere down the road. But I just wanted to make sure that you guys are aware of this. That's the bottom line, is make sure anytime you're going to purchase anything using your Apple device of any sort, make that purchase outside of the app that they provide if you can. If you can go to a website, do that. If you can buy it through your PC somehow, do that. It'll save you a bunch of fees and stop lining the pockets of one of the richest companies in the world who are just absolutely robbing us, disrespecting us, and treating us like dog shit. I guess that's it. So in closing, and spread this word around to anyone you can. A lot of people aren't aware of these fees that Apple charges or that there are ways around them. Make sure that everybody knows. The more people that can be alerted to this, the less money Apple makes on these just disgusting fees. And in closing, I'll say, did I mention? Oh, I don't know if I mentioned this yet. And this is a good way to close the video. I want to make sure I put it out there that Apple is dog shit.
That make you feel so good? You want to make my cock explode now? Okay. Intercourse?
No, Titus. No, we need to leave right now. These people.
Oysters are a quality aphrodisiac.
You a little weird, but nice.